UK Brexit MEP, and I led the demonstrations on Saturday against Tommy Robinson's incarceration. I've got my colleagues here. First of all, I will introduce, I will give my remarks about why I think he has been wrongly imprisoned and why he should be released, and the background to all of this. I will firstly say that we can't comment actually on the trial at all, so please don't ask the questions, because that still is sub judice in the UK. I've got my colleagues here speaking. I have Nicolas Bay from the Front National as co-president, who will be speaking after Marcel de Graaff, who is co-president of the ENF and leader of the PVV in the ENF, and then followed by Mr. Gerald Vannemans, who is co-vice president and also leader of Vlaams Belang. And then we'll be taking journalist questions afterwards. So what happened? Last Friday, Tommy Robinson was arrested and sentenced all within 5 hours. He didn't have access to his own lawyer. Within 24 hours, I arranged a free Tommy Robinson march. Thousands came to Whitehall. We then had another conference and speeches down near Parliament. It was quite unprecedented, actually, and the anger cannot be underestimated, that you can suddenly mobilise those amount of people. Next Saturday, there's going to be another demonstration, this time in Manchester, in the north of England. And again, the Veterans for Britain will be there, the Football Lads Alliance. And then Tommy himself has asked for a demonstration to take place on the 9th of June, again, in London. It will be huge. There is a groundswell of feeling about this arrest incarceration. We've had lots of support. We've had support from Trump's son in the US. We've had support from Canada, Australia and Germany. And in Australia and Germany, he's even been offered political asylum, for which I thank my colleagues. There's been demonstrations in Tel Aviv, in Denmark, Austria and Poland, and indeed across the world, because they can see that the injustice of Britain, that is supposed to be the bastion of free speech, is coming under assault by our government, which is imposing their political diktats to our police and judiciary. Let's think about what Tommy is going through at the moment. He's locked up inside a prison, and in our prisons we have many jihadis sitting in those prisons, and the only hope he's got of survival, and he fears for his life, we feel for his life as well, because the jihadis will be attacking him. He'll have to go into segregation with the sex pests, the sex offenders. Is that right? We think it's not. When people condemn Tommy and us, I ask, where is our swift justice for our sexually groomed and abused girls? Where was the 5-hour sentencing for the monsters who repeatedly raped an 11-year-old girl? Why can't the police courts move so swiftly on them? Even if you agree with Tommy's, or you disagree with Tommy's actions, the historic brushing under the carpet of sex abuse and the rape of poor working-class girls by Muslim grooming gangs went unreported and ignored for 20 years in my country. And I know it's happening across other countries where we've had uncontrolled immigration and we've had jihadis sitting there and festering amongst their own communities, all in the name of multiculturalism. But if you're angry about what happened with Tommy Robinson, are you not angry that the mainstream media targeted people, old white guys, accused of historic sex abuse, like Max Clifford, and Rolf Harris and Gary Glitter? Are you happy that the BBC sent a helicopter in to look at the case of when the police raided Cliff Richard? That man went under severe trauma. Are you happy about that? Are you happy that the mainstream media will go to the courts to try and get gagging notices against so-called celebrities because you don't think that they're entitled to a private life? Are you happy with all of that? Across the UK, we are seeing this huge backlash where white working class people are not being heard. We're being brushed aside for a very, very small minority, and we're having to bow down to them, change our laws, who are trying to change our culture and identity. And when we sit here, we think about, we are Tommy, I am Tommy, let's free Tommy. And I'd like to hand over to my colleague, Marcel de Graaff.
Yes, ladies and gentlemen, of course,